Greetings, welcome back. So we're up to the 77-78 season. This is the second to last season that the WHA exists. This is, it's basically circling the drain at this point, but there's still some fun to be had here. They're not looking at expanding. That's all ended. There's still not in any arenas that are shared with the NHL, any markets shared with the NHL. So their goals are pretty simple. Just try to stay afloat, and if you can work out some kind of a merger with the NHL, you do it. And so that would be the discussion that would continue for a while. The Winnipeg Jets, this team right here, pretty darn good at that stage. 50-28-2 for 102 points during the regular season. They led the league. The New England Whalers are next at 44-31-5, 93 points. Houston Aeros, 42-34-4, 88 points. The Quebec Nordiques, 40-37-3 for 83 points. The Birmingham Bulls, 36-41-3 for 75 points. Cincinnati Stingers, 35-42-3 for 73 points. The Indianapolis Racers, we will discuss them again as we get through this video, and into tomorrow's as well, because fascinating stuff out of Indianapolis. 24-51-5, 53 points. And the Soviet All-Stars and Team Czechoslovakia did a tour, and those games counted in the standings. So the Soviet All-Stars were 3-4-1 against WHA for 7 points. Team Czechoslovakia was 1-6-1 for 3 points. So the interesting takeaway there is this is a league now that can hang with the Soviets and with the Czechs, and that says a lot about how the talent in this league is getting better. So while the money's getting worse, the talent's getting better. It's kind of evening out with the NHL, and we would see that when expansion takes place, the merger between the WHA and the NHL, which the NHL would qualify as expansion because that's really what it was. But they end up with a different playoff system as well. So they have what they call quarterfinals, but there's only three series going on. New England beats Edmonton in 5, 4-1. Quebec takes out Houston, 4-2. Winnipeg beats Birmingham, 4-1. Winnipeg earns a bye into the Avco Cup final, and they wait for the winner between New England and Quebec. The Whalers beat the Nordiques 4-1, meaning that we get the Whalers and the Jets in the finals, and the Jets mop the floor with them. It's not close. 4-1, 5-2, 10-2, and then 5-3 in Game 4. So this is a series that is dominated by the Jets, who now have won 2 Avco Cups in their last 3 seasons. And of course, next year is the last year for the WHA, and it's going to be another big year for the Jets. Now, the scoring leaders, Mark Tardif sets a new record for points in a season. 65 goals, 89 assists, 154 points for Tardif in 78 games. Real Cloutier in 73 games, 56 goals, 73 assists, 129 points. Ulf Nilsson, 73 games, 37 goals, 89 assists, 126 points. Anders Hedberg, he is with the Jets, same as Nilsson. 77 games, 63 goals, 59 assists, 122 points. And there's Bobby Hull in the top 5. 77 games, 46 goals, 71 assists, 117 points. So just think, if Bobby Hull had stayed in the NHL, how many more points, games, goals he would have had. Same with Gordie Howe. Rookie of the Year that year is somebody named Kent Nilsson playing for the Jets. So the Jets, it's all about getting as many Swedish players as you can. And this is a template that works pretty well for them. Goaltenders, Al Smith leads the way for New England, 30-20-3 for an .885 save percentage, 3.22 goals against. Save percentages are down in the WHA that year, which pretty much is equal to the NHL, where save percentages are down as we get through the 70s. Joe Daly of Winnipeg, 21-11-1, .883 save percentage, 3.30 goals against. Gary Bromley playing for the Jets that year, 25-12-1, .886 save percentage, 3.30 goals against. And Jean-Louis Levasseur, New England, 14-11-2, .886 save percentage, 3.30 goals against. So New England and Winnipeg have the best goaltending numbers. They meet in the finals for the Avco Cup. And yeah, it's a pretty good year for both teams, although New England would likely wish they had won that Avco Cup rather than lose it in 4 straight. That's kind of how sports works, right? So November of 1977, the WHA knocks down another hurdle. The draft age in the NHL has been high. And the WHA goes, we can sign guys who are younger. Let's go ahead and do that. We can sign them younger than they get drafted in the NHL. So Ken Linsman signs a contract with the Bulls. It ends up in court, and the judge goes, yeah, you've got to pay him. He signed the contract. He's old enough to sign a contract. So Ken Linsman knocks the door down, and he ends up causing the draft age to drop in the NHL. So to review, the draft age drops in the NHL. There's no more reserve clause in the NHL. And the WHA has definitely caused costs to skyrocket around the National Hockey League. December 7th, Gordie Howe nets his 1,000th goal as a professional hockey player between the WHA, the NHL, and that's counting both regular season and postseason. December 22nd, we get the first trade between the WHA and the NHL. And, you know, you have to think the NHL teams were discouraged from making those deals because it gives credence. It gives legitimacy to the WHA. Don't trade with them. They're a farm league. They're a joke. Don't trade with them. Well, the Detroit Red Wings, who at the time, Detroit's having some problems. December 22nd, they acquire Vaclav Nedomansky, Hall of Famer, right, and Tim Sheehy in exchange for Steve Durbano. If you know who that is, you know. Dave Hansen and future considerations going to Birmingham. So Birmingham Bulls and Detroit Red Wings complete a trade. Birmingham, barely makes it into the playoffs, gets knocked out by Winnipeg in 5 in the first round. And of course, as I said, Detroit at that time, rough time for the Detroit Red Wings. That's around the same period where they had traded off Marcel Dion, and things in Detroit are just awful. And Jimmy Devellano's going to find that out when he takes over. He's going to be like, wow, this is terrible. But Nedomansky's a solid pickup for Detroit, right? March 11th of 1978, Bobby Hull joins Gordie Howe as a player with over 1,000 goals by hitting his 1,000th in pro hockey. Again, it's both regular season and postseason. Bobby Hull, one of the greatest of all time. Now, where things start to get worse is, so I mentioned, the talent level's getting pretty good. The NHL's noticed. The New York Rangers take notice. June, a couple of weeks after Winnipeg sweeps New England, 2 of their best players, Ulf Nilsson and Anders Hedberg, signed multi-year contracts with the New York Rangers. And it's a coup for the Rangers. It's a really solid move for the Rangers, and it speaks to the fact that the NHL teams, now they have the money, they're willing to spend it. It's going to make things harder for the WHA. It's going to be more difficult for them to keep their star players. July 11th, however, Nelson Skalbania, owner of the Indianapolis Racers, he does the ultimate. He signs, for personal services, Wayne Gretzky, for 5 years, $1.6 million. Now, we know Gretzky doesn't play 5 years in Indianapolis. We can see Indianapolis as a team that's, they're at the bottom of the league. If you don't count the Soviet All-Stars and Team Czechoslovakia, they're at the bottom of the league. And you shouldn't count the Soviet All-Stars or Team Czechoslovakia because they're only counted in the standings for reasons of these teams. That's it. So Indianapolis is a team that's struggling, and Nelson Skalbania, thinking outside the box, goes, this Gretzky kid's supposed to be pretty good. There's a lot of hype around him. We're going to pick him up. So they pick him up, and that same month, after Birmingham does this, the Houston Aeros suspend operations. So Houston misses out on a National Hockey League spot potentially by a year. I don't know necessarily that if Houston had stayed in the WHA for 78-79 that the NHL would have seen a future in Houston. There was no team in Dallas at this time. Hockey in the South was, Atlanta would end up leaving and going to Calgary not too long after. So, hockey in the South has been hit and miss. And I'm not sure that Houston would have been picked up by the NHL. But it doesn't make it any better when the team's just suspended operations. So we're down to it, We're down now to a lot less teams, and we're down to one more year left before the NHL is going to pick the bones of this league and make it very difficult for teams that do come in, especially the Jets. The Jets end up paying the major price, and it does feel kind of personal when it happens. I've talked about it in videos in the past. I've discussed the merger between the WHA and the NHL and how the WHA kind of gets hosed. Because while players are playing here, NHL teams are drafting them. NHL teams are picking these guys up and going, hey, we've got the rights to these guys if they come in. So that's a whole part and parcel of how things get ugly. And of course, Cincinnati, we know, doesn't end up in the NHL. Birmingham doesn't end up in the NHL, but they will take a few of these teams in a year's time. So there you go, the 77-78 season for the WHA. I apologize that it's not as humorous as other videos, because honestly, at this point, there's some stability. Only one team went out of business. The problem is they're not expanding. Things aren't getting better. Did I forget the G? I certainly did. So I'm going to put the G in here in Birmingham, because whatever, it's fine. It's fine. I'm not redoing the whole video because I forgot the G in Birmingham. So not Birmingham, it's Birmingham. So there you go. Thank you guys so much for watching, for all your support. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe if you're browsing your way through. You just happened upon this video. And as always, let me know in the comment section below your feelings regarding this video and just this series on the WHA, the Forgotten League, and all those goals that Bobby Hull and Gordie Howe got, which are not recognized by the NHL. It's one of those sad things, and Mark Tardif will get a career video sooner rather than later. Thank you guys so much for all your support, as I said, and I will talk to you again soon.